So VG Charts has been around for a very long time. It's not anything new. They've always reported the sales on games and on consoles, and I think the majority of people just haven't really taken them that seriously as like a reputable place to view the console totals. I mean, me personally, before I started doing YouTube videos and realizing that the VG Charts reputation, I always kind of looked here and just to get like an estimate, I guess, of what the best selling console of all time was, and seeing like how much did the Nintendo Wii U sell, because that console barely even sold, and after they discontinued and all that type of stuff. But they've been putting out numbers, and the last 2 months or so, the VG Charts have been showing that Xbox has been outselling the PlayStation 5, and it's continuing into April. It's probably going to continue throughout April. The big argument against that is, or the big argument for that happening, is just because of the chip shortages. And then there was the whole deal with, did Microsoft make a deal with AMD to get more chips sent to them? All rumors, right? We don't actually know if any of that is true. I think that maybe they could have struck some sort of deal, but I think the deal is just like a regular business deal, in the sense that Xbox probably pays AMD more money than PlayStation. They have a lot more things that they're putting chips into, so they're going to get priority over PlayStation. And when you're in a time like now where there's a chip shortage, it's going to make a huge difference, because it just takes them, there's going to be bigger time periods between the production of that chip and then it getting into the console and being able to ship the console to the prog. It's going to be a lot bigger time difference between those periods right now with what's going on in the world compared to what it was last generation or the generation before, right? So that makes a huge difference in the product being available for consumers to buy. So in terms of VG Charts, every time I make a video about talking about VG Charts, hey, Paul, have a good weekend. Thank you. Thanks for stopping by. Every time we make a video about VG Charts, I always say that like the numbers here, it's VG Charts. So it's not like, they're not exact. It's an estimate, take it with a grain of salt kind of thing. But it's still interesting to look at, because they're putting out these estimates every week. But then there was this tweet that came out, which I got a lot of people talking, and it's from Aaron Greenberg. And it says, thanks to all the people who have helped support the growth and adoption of Xbox so far this generation. Lots of work ahead, and hopefully supply continues to improve globally as well. And he's quote tweeting a VG Charts thing where it's showing that the Xbox Series X and S, in comparison to the Xbox 360 after 3 months, has outsold it by about 4 million units. And that's huge, because the 360 is known as an extremely successful console. Like when you think about that generation, especially in North America and in parts of Europe, like the UK and stuff, right? People attribute that generation to the Xbox 360. So it was a very successful console, and the Series X and S is seemingly doing better than it. Aaron Greenberg is tweeting this out, which I take away from this is just the fact that, yeah, these numbers aren't perfect, but they're close enough, and Xbox is doing very well. We saw that overall in total platform sales right now, I wonder if it's here on their list. PS5 is at 19.25 million, and the Series X is at 14.05. So they're seemingly 4 million behind the PlayStation 5, which I think is a very, very small margin, especially when you think about the difference in strategies between these two companies. I would say that if these numbers are correct, Xbox overall is performing overall better this generation, just because they have their ecosystem and they have people that don't need to buy their console to jump in to play the next Xbox Series X and S game. So they're probably extremely, extremely excited about that. And they know that they're just doing very well in North America, but what they have to do going forward is expand into other parts of the world. We saw PC Game Pass expand into Southeast Asia this past week, which is going to be a big thing to get more people signed up to Game Pass. But now this created just a big reaction across the industry, with some some journalists and stuff like this. So Jeff Grubb tweeted this out. I've noticed improvement at VG Chartz, and I think it's a tool worth considering, even if it's self-admittedly imperfect. If people know the real numbers, just leak them instead of whining about VG Chartz in 2022. And he's quote tweeting this guy here, who I had no idea until this all happened that he is now the person who has taken over VG Chartz estimates. Says, I took over VG Chartz estimates in 2017 and can say we have the limited available data, Famitsu, GFK, NPD, etc., historical figures, and retail availability, then extrapolate that to get worldwide estimates. As more data comes in, I make the necessary adjustments. I know VG Chartz doesn't have the best reputation, but since taking over hardware estimates, I like to be as open as possible about our estimates. We've also stopped doing software estimates and only report official software figures. So you see this, you see people say about VG Chartz, and you would think, okay, so they're trying, they're being more open, they're being more transparent, that their numbers, you can actually look at them. You can actually talk about them and reference them for videos, reference them for comparing sales. If you preface it by saying it's VG Chartz, these are estimates, but these estimates are relatively close in the ballpark of what the sales actually are. Now you see Aaron Greenberg quote tweeting it. So you have more trust in the numbers that they show, but this caused like a kind of an argument here, which was interesting. You have Daniel Maud, who I follow on Twitter mainly just because he shows some of like a lot of the numbers and stuff too about sales and how games sell and all that type of stuff. I'm not sure if it's his own or if he's just quoting MPD, but anyways, it says here, this is a very irresponsible tweet when the site very recently had the PS5 over 1 million units higher than what Sony reported. Then Jeff Grubb replies, VG Chartz lied. People died. Come on. People guess all the time on the internet. MPD used to extrapolate before map. They very much admit that they are doing so. I don't use them in my reporting, so I think we can all just relax. Now, the thing here is that it's true. People guess all the time on the internet. You have blue check marks or journalists or whatever always just throwing stuff out there with predictions, with rumors, and a lot of the times these things don't ever come true. So the anger around using the VG Chartz number after it's come out that not only have they've improved their processes, but Aaron Greenberg also kind of, I guess, semi-approves it with his quote tweet is kind of ridiculous. And he goes on here on like just a rant over the entire thing about VG Chartz. But the hilarious thing of all of this is to back up his point, I guess, against people saying that they're more reputable now because Aaron Greenberg quote tweeted is he posted this tweet from 2010 where Aaron Greenberg at the same time said that the sales reports from VG Chartz, why do people release info as official when there's no source or science behind the numbers? Which again, that was during the 360 era. Do we know how much 360 sold? We know that it sold very well, but that was 12 years ago. Obviously, your opinion can change. Obviously, websites can improve and the overall numbers can improve. And the guy who's running VG Chartz seems to be more reputable because he's more transparent on everything that he's doing. But all of this to say, going forward, the platform totals for VG Chartz should be taken with a grain of salt, but they seem like they're in the ballpark of what's going on, which is painting a very interesting picture here of PS5 versus the Xbox Series X and S in sales. And are these chip shortages, how much are they going to hurt PlayStation 5 in the long run? And is it going to continue to force them to kind of expand their strategy going forward with the stuff that they're doing with the PlayStation Plus? Because when your only avenue for certain games, for their first party games, like when God of War comes out, that makes you think God of War Ragnarok. We also saw this today where God of War Ragnarok, the director or whoever it was, said that God of War Ragnarok is coming out in 2022. There's nothing to worry about. But if there's a chip shortage throughout the first 4 months of this year, and this continues on until, I don't know, maybe like September or even just like August or throughout the summer, and PlayStation and God of War is a PlayStation 5 game, you would think that would be something to be very concerned about for them, because that could hurt the sales with a title as big as God of War Ragnarok. Less amount of people are going to be buying that game when there's less PS5s in the household because they've been held back by the chip shortage. And yes, I know they're not going to sell 19 million units of God of War right away when the game comes out, but the more units, if that's your strategy, the more units you push out there, no matter what, it's going to give you a bigger percentage of people that are going to go and run out and buy that game when it comes out. So this, I think, is going to really push PlayStation to have to adjust further into following in the footsteps of the ecosystem stuff. And I think overall this is a good thing because Xbox is selling very well. They're increasing their subscriptions. That's going up, or hopefully going to be seeing more numbers on how many subs that they have. And this generation, with just because of these sales alone, is going to be a lot closer than general. We get more good value, more content because there is all this great competition. But yeah, VG Chartz. Apparently, it's being backed up now by Aaron Greenberg, or he's just happy to see that these sales numbers are very, very high. But yeah, what's up, everybody? Welcome, Plumecast, to my impromptu episode, I guess you could say. I'm not going to be able to do tomorrow, so I decided, hey, might as well just jump on and go live and just talk about stuff that I haven't really read through or gone through yet, and see what you guys think about it. So what's up? Sorry, I can't be awake. It's 2:30 a.m. Well, thanks for dropping in anyways. Only people who don't enjoy games or large corporations care about sales. I just play games. Yeah, for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many sales these consoles have. It makes no difference. Only thing it makes a difference of is like if you only have one of these consoles, you kind of want it, and in their whole strategy is like PlayStation, or even not, like just in general, if you only have one platform, you want it to succeed in general, because if it doesn't succeed, the support from third-party developers, the support from the industry just won't be there. So you always want, if you only have one, right? That's the issue with only playing on one platform. But this generation, it's just like, it doesn't really matter where you're playing. There's support from the entire industry for every single platform. It's really, really good. You think about, think about like the Wii U, for example. When that came out, just had like no support. That's probably one of the major reasons it failed. The third-party developers were just like, no, we're not making games for this console that's not selling very well, that's not succeeding. And that's the unfortunate thing. So every console going forward, you kind of want it to succeed. It's getting delayed. The statement sounded like it was getting people ready for a delay, but they're going to need more consoles out there, so it's going to be delayed. Yeah, see, that's talking about God of War Ragnarok. That's the concern, I think, from a PlayStation standpoint, is with a God of War is a staple. It's probably, I would say, I'm thinking of all the first-party PlayStation games. It's like potentially their biggest IP. I haven't looked at the sales, but just in like terms of recognition, it's probably their biggest or one of their biggest. So like that's a game that you want to be putting out there when the install base is extremely high, because you know you're going to be selling a ton of those consoles. And that could all be avoided if they were releasing God of War onto PC as well, right? They could really make up for the lack of PlayStation 5s that they're able to produce if they were to put it on PC as well, which I would do it. If I was PlayStation, I would definitely do that.